What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Matt Report podcast. You ever been hit by a bus or a cold, or have kids that get hit by a cold and it goes through your house like a rabid bear looking for food? That's where I've been. That's where we've been for the entire month of January, and now nearly halfway through February already. Just can't shake the cold. I still sound sick. It's been a month. It's been a month and a half. It's been a 2020. How about you? How have your plans been? I'm going to talk about some of that stuff today in another solo episode of the Matt Report. I got some good feedback on this. Some folks enjoy this, and we'll be interviewing folks soon enough. But I don't know if I can do. I always get submissions to my site, and I know this sounds so awful. I know I've said this before in the past. But if you're going to ask to be on the show, you have to lead with something else other than, I've got this product, let's talk. Or if you're sending somebody to do the dirty work for you, hey, the CEO of my company has been featured in Forbes, and she would really like to be on your podcast, and she can talk about these 6 topics that are all SEO-laden, linked back to our website. Where could she schedule the time? Where is your Calendly link? I just can't. I can't, and I won't subject my listeners to that kind of predetermined outcome. I already subject you enough by listening to me talk on these solo episodes with a sickness. So, I can only subject you through so much. So, things I want to talk about today in a not so cemented order is, well, let's talk about some of the things I have going on with the Business 5000, see how that's going. I'll talk about some of the news in the WordPress world, and maybe just some other things that I find poignant in the web digital space. All right, let's dive right in. So things for the Business 5000 are off to a fairly good start, slightly behind schedule in terms of my expectations of holding a first class, the first cohort. I don't even know what the names are that I'm going to be calling this stuff yet, but if this is the first time you've heard of the Business 5000, if you go to business5000.com, this is an idea accelerator. This is a new thing for me to create content in a new way, at least for me, to get people who have ideas, who are launching a business, a new product, a new service, to give you a platform to pitch that product or service to people who have done this in the past, people who are experienced. And I'm sort of dabbling in between, calling them mentors, judges, advisors. I haven't really figured that out yet. The people who are pitching, pitchers, builders, entrepreneurs. I'm not trying to keep it I don't want to be as sterile as your typical accelerator program or anything like that, because this is pre-accelerator, if I can even say that. Am I allowed to say that? It's pre-accelerator. It's an idea accelerator. So this is something that you're going to use to really stretch out and exercise that idea, or even your first version of your product. Right? So that's actually some of the things that, or the feedback I've received so far. Again, business5000.com. People who are building their business, like, hey, this is great actually, because I've built version 1 and I haven't even really talked to another human being about it. Put out some tweets, I did a blog post, all the digital things. But I've never really presented it to people on the spot in a 2-minute elevator pitch fashion, talked about what the product does, who it does it for, and what value it brings. And maybe you're somebody who's thinking about getting into an accelerator lately. So many folks in and around the WordPress space have done that. We'll talk about that actually in a little bit with what Syed has done with All-in-One SEO and some of his other initiatives. But folks like that I've had on the show multiple times. Rob Walling from the Tiny Seed Fund. I mean, this isn't rocket science to a lot of you. Many of you are building these businesses that start out really small, 1-2 person shops, and then maybe you grow it to 12, 20, some of you to the moon, again, if you're Syed. But not a lot of us have that platform in the early days. I mean, I've been doing stuff for a while now, and it feels like sometimes you can be building a product for a year, 2 years by yourself without validating it. And you're just, I mean, you're making progress, you're putting it out into the world, but it's always just like, you know, the stuff you want people to see. It's not really a conversation where people are saying, yeah, this is not going to work. Here's why. Or maybe you should think about this opportunity. Here's why. But at the end of the day, the Business 5000, so far I am satisfied with it. The list of folks is maybe around 65, 75 people at this point on the mailing list, and I want more. Like, I don't want to launch yet until I have more people. So go ahead to thebusiness5000.com, sign up to the mailing list. And again, if you're somebody who wants to be a builder, a pitcher, an entrepreneur, a founder, you got an idea, sign up to the email list. You'll get an automated email from me that says like what I need more of. And then hit reply to that email and let me know what you're building. If you're somebody who wants to be an advisor, a judge, a mentor, same thing, business5000.com, sign up to the email newsletter and let me know you want to be a mentor. Because the rub, I'm building a business live in front of everybody. The rub with the Business 5000 is all of this content is solely delivered through the newsletter. So don't complain to me when you see this thing rocking and you're like, why didn't I get notified? Because you weren't on the email list. Business5000.com. So as I slowly peel away from my design, or not my design, my brand language of a WordPress podcast, WordPress journalism is all taking a whole new effect. Now, this is old news because I haven't really posted anything in the new year. And many of you already know this, but my good friend, Cory Miller, has joined forces with my arch nemesis, Brian Krogsgaard, over at Poststatus. They've become this villainous duo against the Matt Report. I'm just kidding. Good folks. But Poststatus has got a breath of fresh air from Cory in both a business stance, right? So I think Cory now is part of the business, owns a piece of the business, I think 50-50 from the blog post that Brian put out when this first happened. If you haven't seen it, it was posted on January 16th over at Poststatus. The title is Introducing a New Chapter with Cory Miller as Poststatus Partner. Brian starts off, I created Poststatus in January 2013 and started, I can't believe it's been January 2013. I created the Poststatus in January 2013 and started the club January 2015. January 2020 marks another huge milestone. Yada, yada, yada. Welcome in Cory Miller. Of course, if you don't know Cory Miller, founder of iThemes, great individual, one of none, actually the only person in the WordPress community to actually step foot in this very studio where I'm recording this. Cory visited me and my family over the summer or end of the summer this past year. He was in town, and he came by. And I've known Cory for years, had him on the show many, many times. I've been in masterminds with him. I've always been in conversation with him, hung out with him at many WordCamps. So it's exciting to see that. The other news in WordPress journalism is former founder, owner of WP Tavern, my friend, Jeff, your friend, Jeff, known as Jeff Rowe on Twitter, Jeff Chandler, starting his new initiative. He's getting that thing out the door. It's in its infancy. It's called WP Mainline.com. WP Mainline.com. And this is interesting because towards the end of 2019, Like even myself, I'm just like, man, and you've heard me talk about this on the show. I mean, I think the last solo episode I did was missing WP Weekly. Just, sort of thing like, man, nobody really cares about the WordPress news anymore. I mean, I'm seeing substantial growth on the YouTube tutorial channel, about to hit 10,000 subscribers. And everybody wants that because it's educational, helping them learn how to build something. Most of them are mooching off of it because they're consultants and they just want to see how this stuff is done, give me the next best theme. I get it. Not many people care about the news, like what's really happening in the WordPress world. And here we are at the start of 2020. Of course, the Tavern is still going strong with Justin Tadlock. Sarah Gooding, I guess, is still on leave. If I was a journalist like her, I'd probably reach out and ask her for a quote. When are you coming back? But the last, 100 blog posts, I'm just guessing what the number is on the Tavern, have all come from Justin Tadlock. The site still looks the same after my criticism of removing all branding. Whatever, the content's still out there. Might have tweaked a few things. But he continues to pump out content. And that's good. So it's good to see, all of a sudden, when I was sort of feeling down and out on producing WordPress news, we have a reinforcement in the Poststatus business. And then, of course, now Jeff is kicking things back into gear. I really hope he gets that moving really fast. Really value his insights and his dedication more than anything, his dedication to the WordPress community and WordPress software. Syed Balki of Awesome Motive has acquired the all-in-one SEO plugin. And, again, speaking of Poststatus, WP Tavern did a pretty good post on it as well, but Brian did a pretty good interview with Syed about his vision of SEO pack, all-in-one SEO pack, I should say. Check it out on Poststatus. Look, this is what I expect from Syed. I think we all do, at this point. An SEO, all-in-one SEO pack, and SEO in general slots right in to the entire suite of Awesome Motive products, right? Slots right in. I mean, you have Opt-in Monster, which is about converting visitors into potential leads, and you can only really get visitors to your site by content creation and, of course, leveraging SEO. And he already owns Monster Insights, which was acquired from Yoast a few years back, or I think it was a few years back. So it's like you have like two things on sort of both ends. You have this analytical tool, and then you have this conversion tool, and then there's like a missing piece right in the middle. So obviously, all-in-one SEO pack or any SEO plugin was the next sort of move to solidify that sort of conversion there, that rounding out the wheel. And the conversation that he has with Brian is great. I think it's pretty much par for the course of what you expect to hear from Syed. But it is interesting. I've known Syed for a while, and it's interesting to hear. I mean, he's always been mature, but just to hear how he's matured over the years and the mindset of it. There's a lot of people there's a lot of you out there that can take away some good, nuggets away from that episode. And one of the things that I really enjoy is, especially now that I spend a lot of time in my day job at Pagely, the businesses that we think are like really big in the WordPress space are nothing compared to really, really big global corporations that are traded. And these are things that I experience with some of the clients that we serve over at Pagely. So it's funny, like when you're in the WordPress, community, you're sort of locked in this echo chamber, like, oh my God, Yoast is huge, and even Automatic is huge, and you sort of look at it like these insurmountable entities, but really, we are really small, here in the WordPress space, and certainly Syed is poised to get, even bigger. And I would say, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure this one out. The next plugin that or service that Syed either acquires, and I would say he's probably going to acquire it somewhere, is e-commerce, right? Something in the e-commerce space. I mean, you're having all of these things that are just the last leg now is selling something. And if you can do that through this entire Awesomotive brand, under the Awesomotive brand, then it totally makes sense. I mean, you have, again, Monster Insights, which is going to track all your visitors. It's going to then feed into or partly communicate asynchronously with all-in-one SEO pack, right? You're doing your SEO. One of the things he hinted at was, hey, all these SEO plugins are great, but they're for professionals. They're for people who already know what they're doing. All-in-one SEO pack is going to move in the direction of goal-based, result-based measurements, I guess, for the lack of, I mean, obviously he's building the product, but it's going to lead people to measuring goals to see value in their efforts versus a Yoast, which is just like, hey, green light, you've checked off all the boxes. You don't really know if it's moving the needle for your business, but you filled out everything properly. And I think Syed is really good at that stuff, at creating that beginner level. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, he literally owns WP Beginner, but people who are just, hey man, I don't want to waste all the time with this geekery stuff. I don't personally, neither do I. I want something that says I've got 1,000 visits this month. I converted on 10 of those and I made $4,000. That's what I want. And I think that's what he's going to deliver once he rounds out his suite of products. So I say that, maybe by the end of 2020, or maybe he starts negotiating by the end of 2020 with somebody to acquire e-commerce. Maybe he'll surprise us all and come out with something of his own product. That'd be interesting. I doubt it, though. That's a pretty big task. I think there's plenty of opportunity to acquire some kind of e-commerce tool. But I think it's going to be an interesting thing. He's got Trust. I think it's called Trust Pulse. Geez, man, if you were better at this stuff, you'd have show notes. You'd have something scripted like all of the better podcasters out there. Trust Pulse, an opt-in monster company. Grow your business with honest marketing. And these are the things that pop up. Is it really honest? Is it really honest? It says, when it pops up and it says, so-and-so just bought such and such. And again, this is just like another thing pointing to e-commerce. Right? You have this thing that pops up that says somebody just bought something. So in my eyes, you have to be getting into the e-commerce game. All signs point that way. I don't know if you're listening to this, tweet to him. Tweet to Syed. Say, Matt wants to know when you're buying an e-commerce company. All right, maybe the last thing I want to talk about today is WordPress themes. Wow. This stuff, I just did a video on a theme called Blocksy, Blocksy. At the time of this recording, it's got about 2,000 active installs. And I also did a video about this. So if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, I did a video called Feature Lust. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. So it's just I came across this theme because I've had people sending me direct messages saying, hey, you really got to check out this theme. This is the next best theme. I'm going to switch to this theme from, a theme I've been using for the last 4 years. It really just had me thinking wow, the average WordPress consumer that are in these Facebook groups, the Elementor groups, these Beaver Builder groups, these are the people that really use WordPress. I'm not counting the end user, mom and pop shop, they're trying to build their website, or a lawyer, right, trying to build your website, whatever you are. You're not the the WordPress consumer in my eyes. The WordPress consumer is the consultant, the builder, because he or she's out there like buying products, getting marketed to much more heavily than the end user, I'd say. And you're the one that's going to buy, the developer license, the agency license, whatever. And it just blows my mind that people will jump from one product to the next because, well, it's free. Of course. I mean, that's as much as I'm willing to pay. It's free and it's got all these features. Give me more features. Like, haven't we learned our lesson by now? And again, this is just old man Matt talking. Just jealous he never built a free product that got 100,000 people and then he could scale it to actually make money. But man, like, it's crazy how fast people will jump ship for shiny new features. And no one looks at the overall overhead of what happens if this company doesn't survive. I mean, when I was in the agency game, we had hundreds of active customers. I mean, I'm not switching out hundreds of customers active, supporting, to new themes because they have more features. And I'm not going to do that with new customers like every 6 months just because something new came out. Because what that does is create fragmentation and support overhead. Of course, Matt, you're not going to switch out 200 customers onto a new theme. That's crazy, but you can try it on the new people. Yeah, well, if you started doing that every 4-6 months, whatever the rotation of new products are coming into the market, you find yourself in a couple years, all of a sudden, now you're in a couple years, you're supporting 5 different themes across 400 customers, and that just doesn't make sense to me. Sure, specialized tools for specialized projects, I get it. But I've never seen, short of the last few years, I've never seen this rush to jump around. And maybe this is what's happening to the market. Anyway, back to the point at hand. This Blocksy theme, it has this pretty amazing builder it's inside the customizer. You can modify the header and the footer of your WordPress website. And it's pretty cool. And it's, you drag and drop these components around and it makes it very easy to customize the layouts of the header and footer. Of course, it supports page builders, so you can do all that full width page building, using your favorite, Beaver Builder, Elementor, Breezy, whatever. And it supports it. Tons and tons of, font style, theme, customizer options, works with Gutenberg. But it's all about free, fastest, and most. And the second thing that was going on here was like, hey, people, everybody's jumping to this thing, and there's not even an about page on their website yet. You don't even know, like, truly who these people are. What's the backstory? What's the vision? Where's this all going? How are they going to stay in business? It's free. What if they go out of business and all of a sudden you're stuck holding the ball? So I did some research. I emailed them, and I got a response back. I mean, they're fabulous 2 guys. They're trying to build the best theme. I get it. Totally on board with it. Makes sense. I just find it so unsettling that to gamble on growing a business is free, fastest, most. Because to me that only means like, hey, this is why people got here. Free, fastest, most. And when another competitor comes in with freer, faster, mostest, these folks are going to leave you. I mean, not everybody. I understand it's not the end of the world, and I wish them all the luck. And they're doing everything, which is seemingly really good. A very powerful theme, a very good-looking brand. Their documentation is on point, and their change log is amazing. Like, it just looks good on the site. It's appealing. It's clean. It's easy to read. So from a person who looks at a lot of WordPress products, I really appreciate it. But as new things come out with the product, it's nice to see, where they're going to go with it. So anyway, the point is, free, fastest, most is still a thing. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. I just hope to God it doesn't cause this effect where you as a product builder or service provider, you have to think that way. And that same momentum that you found customers with is the same thing that's going to burn you, in the end. These guys will be coming out with a pro option soon, and hopefully it starts making them money, and hopefully they convert a lot of customers and they do build a sustainable business. I think I'm just much more of the mindset these days that you should be charging right out of the gate. Build that sustainable business, build that expectation, right? Get paying customers. But if you can build fastest, freest, most affordably, and you're not losing your pants, makes sense. Do it, I guess, if you can afford it. It's a great way to build an audience and then convert folks. So totally makes sense to me. Blocksy theme, check it out. Go to youtube.com/plugintut. Hit subscribe if you haven't. I'm almost at 10,000 subs. Feels good to be a YouTuber. But the last video I did there is about that theme, and you can check it out and see if it's going to work well for your next project. All right. It's the Matt Report. It is February 11th, 2020. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for being an audience member. Subscribe to the YouTube channels, youtube.com/TheMattReport, youtube.com/PluginTut, business5000.com. Again, if you want to pitch your idea or be an advisor, a mentor, a judge, business5000.com. That's where you want to go. All right. See you in the next episode.